We don't have any fucking time, Danny. The clock is ticking. One of our biggest kind of top-level objectives, building the plane as you fly it.
Welcome to Mission Log Third Derivative, the D3 log where we document the progress of accelerating the largest cohort of climate tech companies we can muster. We've formed the Third Derivative Accelerator to really see whether we can innovate the process of acceleration, and we're documenting it as we go with this mission log, learning lessons so that other people trying to support startups to advance climate solutions can learn with us as we go. So Bryan, tell me, what have we got for a lesson this week in moving forward with acceleration of our climate tech companies?
Yeah, Danny, I think we've probably got a couple this week, and I would say they broadly fall under the heading of how do we actually affect success for all of these startups. I'm a metrics guy, Danny, and so we were taking a look at our metrics, and one of our biggest kind of top-level objectives is really mobilization of capital to the startups, because these are largely hard tech startups. They're going to need capital to build things, advance along learning curves and scale curves, and really hit that inflection point. And we've done, I think, a very good job of mobilizing investment capital into startups, millions of dollars of investment capital. But here we are, 6 months into our program, and we still only have kind of 7 potential deals being worked between our startups and our corporate partners, and so far zero actual capital that's transacted between them. So it's really enough for us to pause and take stock and iterate on our model, kind of check our hypotheses and see if there are better ways that we can actually affect that kind of deal flow and capital mobilization. So maybe the first lesson is just, it's so easy to get down in you're down in the weeds, your head right in the thick of things. It's important sometimes to pull your head up and check those top level metrics and say, are things actually going the way we want them to go?
Right. Can I just check the lesson there? So we're seeing good investor interest, but the actual deals of sales of products and services by our startups to our amazing ecosystem of corporate partners is just taking time. I mean, isn't the possible thesis there to answer it that deals just do take time when you're talking about large multinationals and new products and services?
Yes, and we don't have any fucking time, Danny. The clock is ticking. Climate's getting hotter, so we have to find ways to accelerate this process, or at least we have to try, right? We can't sit back and just say, well, that's out of our control. So, we took a lot of our, we took stock of our process, and a key aspect of our process for working with our startups was monthly one-on-ones with every startup. So members of our startup success team are sitting down once a month with every startup to, hey, how's it going? What do you need? Et cetera. And frankly, that was a tremendous use of resources, because we've got nearly 50 startups in our program, and so we have multiple people spending half their months every month just catching up with the startups. And here again, looking at the actual results, it's not clear that that's actually been all that effective. We have to be honest with ourselves that our job is not to be, the CEO of every startup, right, or the chief strategy officer or the board chairman. It really is to kind of assess where they are, kind of understand what they need, help them get it, and then get out of the way. Because it's not evident that us sitting down and really just giving them advice is all that helpful. And even if it is helpful, it certainly isn't scalable. And Danny, as you know, we've got 50 startups today, but our objective is to have 50 more tomorrow, and 50 after that, and after that, and hundreds or even thousands of startups in the portfolio eventually. So here again, maybe a key lesson for us is around kind of our role in the ecosystem. We don't need to pretend that we have the expertise to tell every startup exactly what they should be doing. And I think maybe we were unintentionally falling into that trap for the last few months.
Good one for others that are out there trying to support startups with acceleration training and modules, not getting too stuck in it and spending time that might otherwise be spent out there in the world by the entrepreneurs and founders of those startups making sales and doing their other business. So that's a really heavy lesson.
And I think it's a lesson because it's an easy trap to fall into. Founders, especially of early stage startups, not just in climate tech, but broadly, they're in a world of incredible uncertainty, and especially for first time founders who may not have a whole lot of experience or familiarity with that kind of uncertain environment. it's easy for them to want to kind of map the entrepreneurial process to other processes in environments of higher certainty. So corporate processes, academic processes, et cetera. And in those, there's often, a source of truth, right? There's a professor who's up at the chalkboard, or there's a manager or a CEO above you who can just kind of tell you what to do. But that, you know as well as I do, as a seasoned entrepreneur yourself, that's not how entrepreneurship works, right? Entrepreneurship, you're building the plane as you fly it, you're creating the future as you go. And in fact, in many cases, when we look at successful entrepreneurship, the actual decisions made run counter to what so-called experts might have advised under other circumstances. So it's not just that we may not be helping, it's that we really need to help our entrepreneurs be their own entrepreneurs, empower them to make the decisions that they need to make with imperfect information and move on, rather than looking to us for answers. So, as we move forward, we're rejiggering our entire kind of startup success process with a goal of really, periodically assessing, of course, what our startups are doing, how they're doing, what they need, and often that can be challenging because self-awareness is a key trait for founders that isn't always present, but help them understand what they need, then help them connect to those resources, and as I say, then get out of the way and let them kind of pursue them and move forward without us having to be in the critical path.
That's a great lesson. Thank you. And timely, for the times, I think, of uncertainty and accelerating climate change, we need to have that awareness. Great. Good. Well, the other thing we do weekly is try to highlight one of the startups in Third Derivative, just to sort of celebrate the successes along the way. Who have we got this week?
Yeah, so we'll highlight this week the startup based out of Texas in the United States called Celadyne Technologies. Really cool, deep science-based startup making nanocomposite membranes that improve the performance of hydrogen fuel cells. So without kind of getting into the weeds broadly, they can make much thinner membranes than the status quo. They can make membranes that operate in lower humidity and higher temperature environments, which significantly kind of increases the scope of their potential applications. And, we all know what talks versus what walks. The membranes are half the cost of the status quo of membranes for hydrogen fuel cells. So we think they're onto something with a lot of potential, and so does Shell, one of our corporate partners, who actually recently made a non-trivial investment in Celadyne. So Shell's very eager to work with them and is actually even staking them as a financial investor as well. So wishing Celadyne all the best. They're super early stage, but their technology at scale could be incredibly impactful as we try to unlock the hydrogen economy.
Great stuff. And membranes are us. We do a lot of that in the battery world as well. But when we come back next week, we might do more on the hydrogen economy, because I think that's our first company we've featured out of the D3 mission log in hydrogen, and it's definitely going to be a thing. So we'll come back to that. But for now, we'll check out on the D3 mission log and see you next week.
That's right. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you think about affecting startup success. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and stay tuned, because we are going to have many more learnings to come.